Hey everyone. So now we are back and we are going to start building this category section of our Airbnb clone. Okay. And in the last video, what we have done is we have created the header part. Okay. You can see that we created this nice header where we have the check in and check out option along with the search button. And we also created this button where we can, later on we are going to create a drop down. When we hover over it, it's going to present us with options like login and sign up. So for now, our priority is to create and render these categories and also the cards for the properties. Okay. So let's see how we can and over here you can see inside our source we have got this app.jsx. Okay. We have created only the header part. Now I want to create these two, category and property listing. Actually, we need to group these two together. So I'm just going to, create a div, and inside this div, I'm going to put these two components together. So let me just cut it from here and then I'll paste it inside the div. Let me also add some class name over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write flex column. Why I am creating a column? Because you see we want to add basically present these things in a vertical manner. That means it's in a column, so that is why we are setting the flex direction to column. Then we also want to put some space between the childrens of this flex column, so that is why I'm going to use this space y4. Here you can just multiply this number by 4 and you'll get the value in pixel, which is 16. Okay, that is the space between the childrens. Okay, now let's also set the max width. Okay, so here I'm just going to set the max width to screen axle. Okay, and you can just hover over it and see the size is 1280 pixels. So what I mean is here you can see there is a empty space on the left and on the right side. So this is because we have set it a max width and it cannot exceed 1280 pixels. Okay, so it's because of this property. Now, here I'm also going to do one more thing. I'm going to set the margin in the x direction to auto. That means margin on the left and right side will be distributed equally, and the content will be at the center in horizontal direction. Okay. Then I also want to, set the min width property, or we can also do that later on. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Now let's also focus. Let's now focus on creating the categories. Okay. So again, I'm going to go to this sections folder. Inside this we have search and I want to create category. So let's create a react functional component, and inside this component, first of all, we just need a list. Okay, and from where are we going to get this list? Because you can see from the example over here that we need to, present a lot of categories, and each category is going to have its name and an icon along with a key value. So I have already created this category list. Okay, and I'm just going to, uh, give it to you over here. So you can just visit github.com/codingmonk-byte/home away. This link will also be provided in the description, so you can also check that out. Now what I'm going to do, this is the readme file where I'm going to put this array. So let me just open up this readme file and I'll just edit it. Then at the bottom I'm going to add a heading. Let me put a heading saying category list. Okay, so this is the category list. Then I want to paste it over here as the JavaScript, and after that I'm just going to save it. So let me commit all these changes. Okay, and now if you just scroll down a little bit at towards the bottom, then you will find this heading saying category list. What you need to do is just copy it from here. Let me tell you what is inside this category list. We just have an array, and each element of this array has three properties: key for, rendering the list, and optimizing the performance of list. Okay, then we have an icon for each category and a label. Okay, so this is what we have inside this. Now I am back inside my code base and I'm going to, paste it over here before my component function. and this category is right now it's not getting used. So first thing is we should actually add the import statement for all of these icons, otherwise we are going to get an error. Okay, so let me do that thing. I'm going to just get all of these icons very quickly. So this is our Pi Island, then this is Snowflake, Pi Farm, Outline Pool. We have to actually do it manually because these are going to come from different you can see it's all coming from React icons, but the ending is different, so that is why I'm doing it like this. So we have just now imported tree house. After that it's home modern, then villa, then we have our umbrella beach. Okay, fa umbrella beach, then fire alt for the trending, then we have island fill, cabin, castle. Okay, there are lots of these categories, so let me just do it very quickly. Then we have barn, cactus fill for the desert, windmill. Okay, we are just done with this list. Grapes for the vineyard, camping tent, and city. So now we have imported all of these categories icons. Okay, you can see it's all the category icons that we need. And the next step is to start mapping over this category so that we can see something on our UI. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to now remove this category text. Okay, let me also see if there are any questions in the comment box, so you can actually ask any queries or doubts. Okay, I am always looking into the chat box. Okay, let's now start styling the this div. Okay, so first of all let me show you that we need a div sorry, a row over here. You can see all the categories are inside a horizontal row. Okay, that means it's in the horizontal manner. So we need to create a flex with direction set to row, so that is what I'm going to do, flex and flex row. Okay, after that I want to set the items align items property to center, so that everything is along the vertical line, they are along the center. Then justify between, so that they can have as much space between them as possible. Actually I messed up, uh, so I'm going to write it again. Justify between, and after this I also want to put some space between each category along the x direction, that means in the horizontal direction. So let's give it a space x8, which means 8 times 32, sorry, 8 times 4, 32 pixel, that you can see over here. And then we need to provide padding in the x direction. Let's give padding 4 in the x direction, and in the y direction I want to set to 2. Then I'm going to set the minimum width. Okay, and let me set it to minimum. Okay, which means as per the content, as much minimum width as it can take. Inside this we need to start mapping, so I'm going to write some JavaScript. For that we need this curly bracket. Okay, after that we are going to take the category list and call the map function over it. Now we are going to get each category one by one uh, inside this thing. Okay, and what we are going to return from here, we are going to return a div. This div is an HTML element. So first thing is I want to add key property over here. Since we are mapping, so I want to provide a key for efficient list rendering. Let's also destructure the other properties from the object, which is icon and label. You can see each category is going to contain these three properties, and that is what we have destructured over here, and key is already used. Inside the div, what I want is I want to place two things, the icon and the text. Okay, and you can see from the website that we are building, actually this web app, that icon is going to be placed at the top of the text. That means we need to create a column. So on this div, let's add some class names for that. First of all, I'm going to turn it into a flex column, and since we are also going to make use of some JavaScript variable inside the class name, so let me just turn it into a string interpolation. I'm going to do string interpolation, that is why I'm using backticks. Also, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see everything clearly. Let me also close the file explorer. Then over here, we are going to first of all make it a flex container. Then the direction will be columns. So for that, we use this class name flex call item center. Okay. Then along the y direction, that means between the icon and the text, I want some spacing. So I'm going to give this property space y2. Okay. When we hover over these, sorry, again, my mouse is at the wrong place. Let me put it over here. So when we hover over these category, I want some if hover effect. Okay. So what we are going to do for that, we are just going to change the cursor to the pointer. Okay. Then after that, we are going to actually also manage which category is currently selected. So here I can just create a state like this category and set category. Okay. Now we are going to basically store the key value of the category which is selected. So for the starting, we can just say that at the start property this category with key value 0 will be selected by default. So this is the default state. Now I'm just going to compare the category value with the key value. So let me also word wrap it. Okay. And format the document. So here we are going to just compare the category value, and if it is equal to the key, then I want to provide some styling. Otherwise I'm going to provide some different styling. So if it is the selected selected category, then I want the text color to be primary. So let me write text primary, and I also want an underline in this case, and the font weight should be semi bold. So I'm going to write font semi bold. For the other case, we are just going to leave it empty so that I don't actually want to put anything special over there. Then we can render the icon after that. Okay. So you can see inside this div we are rendering the icon. This is the flex column, and after icon we need the text. So I'm just going to use a span tag over here. Now inside this span tag we can render the label. Okay. This label is actually coming from this variable. Now in order to style it, we can give it some class names. First of all, I want its text size to be extra small, so I can give this class text extra small, which means 12 pixel font size and 16 pixel line height. Then I also want one more thing, text no wrap. I'm giving this property because I don't want the text to break into two lines. I want it to be contained in a single line. That is why I'm giving this property. Now in order to see if it is working or not, we need to use this category inside our app.jsx. So here where we left the comment, I'm now going to use that. So let me write category, and it's going to come from section slash search slash category. So that is the correct path. Now I can just go and see if it is working. So it's looking like this for now. Okay. Actually, it's looking pretty good, but there are some differences from over here. Okay. As you see, there are some differences that are clearly visible. So let me now work on that. What we are going to do, first of all, if I click on any of the category, then you can see the selected state is not going to change. If I click on any of these, the selected state is just not changing. So that means we need to update the selected category in some way. And how we are going to do that, let's see. I'm going to add an on click event over here on this particular div. So whenever a category gets clicked, then we are going to call a function which we haven't created yet, but we are going to create now. I'm going to call it handle change category, and to this function I'm going to pass the key. Let's now create that function over here. It's going to be an handler function. So I'm going to write handle change category. Okay. Now here as the argument we are receiving the key, so I'm going to write it over here inside this parenthesis. Then we can just make use of this set category function to update the category value, and I'll pass the key that we received. Okay. So we can just go back to our application again, and now if I click on the other icons, then you can see it's actually changing. Okay. So this is we are good till this point. Now let me again check if there are any questions in the chat box. Okay. uh, I'm very glad that you like the project. Okay. And yeah, I'll actually post the link to the code base in the description box. You can check that out after the stream is ended. Let's now focus on the next functionality that I want over here, which is this, disappearing scroll bar. So at this point, I'm going to introduce you to a library, okay, because we are going to take help of a third party library to get this feature done. It's called Simple Bar. Let me show you. If you just search for Simple Bar on your browser, then you will get this link, npm from npm.js. Okay, click on it and let's wait for the page to get loaded. So here you can see we are going to now install this library. So just copy this command npm I simple bar. Then we can go to our code base. Okay, I'm going to add another terminal on the same directory. Then let's install this library. Okay, after the library is installed, we are now going to implement this simple bar inside our project. So actually, I just checked and there is a React version of simple bar. So this is the one that we are going to use. This simple bar that we just installed previously, it's for the general version that you can use in any of the JavaScript project. Since we are working with React, so it will be better if we use this one. So I'm just now going to install this one and we can install the previous one. Okay, so after that is done, let me show you how to make use of this library. First thing is you need to import the styling. Okay, and the URL for importing the styling is this one. I'm just going to copy and paste it over my screen. You can check this out, and it's actually from the example, okay, from the documentation of that particular library. So whenever you are using this library, it's not going to work if you don't include this CSS import. So inside your component, make sure that you import simple bar dash react slash dist slash simple bar min css. Actually, let me just copy and paste this inside the readme file. So I'm just going back to my browser. Inside this readme file, I'll edit it, and towards the bottom I'm going to create another heading. I'm going to call it simple bar. Okay, the text is very small, don't worry. I'm just going to zoom in so that you can see it. Now I'm just going to add some JavaScript over here, just a simple import statement. Then after this I'm just going to save it. So let me commit these changes, and now you can just go to this repository and all the code will also be available over here. Okay, I'll give the link to this repository here at the bottom. Now you can just copy this import and do it inside your component. After that is done, we need to now wrap our category JSX. Let me also collapse this terminal so that you can focus in a better manner. Then we are going to just wrap the component with simple bar. Please make sure that you are using simple bar from simple bar dash react, not this one. Okay, so after doing this, you can just go back and check if there is any visible change inside your project or not. So if we check it out right now, you can see that functionality is working, which means we have got this disappearing uh, you know scroll bar functionality. And let's now do one more thing. I want to actually change the text color when it's not selected, because you can see it's light color like a gray body color, but over here it's looking black. So I'm just going back to my category component. Let me just see over here. This is the icon. Inside icon we are only providing the size inside list. So we can do one thing. When category is not equal to key, then we can set the text color to body. Okay, and now if I just check it out again, yeah, it is fixed. Now the color is looking great. As a next step, I want to start creating these cards. Okay, so first of all, we are going to focus on building just one card. Okay, then we'll map over the list and we'll render the whole list. But let me also tell you that there will be a change later on. Right now if you just scroll the page, the whole page is scrolling, but what we want actually is we want the header part and this category part to be sticky, and only these results section to scroll. So we are going to take care of that, but for now we are going to make it such that the whole page is going to scroll. Okay, so for that again I'm going to break it down into another component, which is listings component. So inside section slash search we have already created this file, and now it's time to create the component. So first of all, let me write the boilerplate code. Then after that, again I'm going to give you the list of properties that I have already created in advance. So this is just a dummy list. When we do the API integration, we'll get the real data from the API. So again, I'm going to give you this dummy list for UI development. So again, I'm just going to paste it over here inside my readme file. It will be just easier for you to grab all this data and do it inside your project. Otherwise, if you write it on your own, it will take up a lot of time. That is why I'm providing all of this. So let me just write the heading as dummy properties list. Okay, and then I'll just write the JavaScript block, then I'll close it. Let me save all the changes, and I'll show you that you can just copy this list from the readme file. Okay, so this is the dummy property list. Just copy it from here. Let me tell you that it contains these properties: key property for rendering the list and optimizing the list performance. Then we have the image source. Image source is going to be used in order to render the image. Okay, that is clear. Then we have the property name, rating for each property out of 5, and the price per night. Okay, so these are all the properties that we have got for each and every property inside our list. Now, after copying this, we can just go back to our code base. Inside the listings component, I'm going to paste it for now. Later on, we'll get the list from our, Redux store, and that this list is going to come from the API after we integrate the backend. So let's now focus on building the, rendering this list. And let me tell you that when you want to render this list, you are going to, need to create a grid. Here you can see we are rendering these 4 cards in a grid. Okay, and if I resize this, it's also going to respond to the different screen sizes. So let's just directly create that inside this component. So I'm going to write class name. Here let me write grid. Okay, then for the extra large screen I want to specify grid columns 4. That means there will be 4 columns on extra large screen and above size. For the medium screen size and above till extra large, it will be grid calls 3. That means 3 columns. Similarly, we are going to create for the medium screen size, it will be grid calls 2. Okay, sorry, I have written medium 2 times, it will be small. Then let me also define for the extra small size. So in the extra small size screen, I want just 1 column, so I'm going to write grid calls 1. Okay, between each card we also want some space, so we can do that by using this gap property. I have set it the gap to 6. This is going to give gap along the horizontal as well as the vertical direction. Okay, then let's also write some padding in the x direction. That means from the left and right, and from the vertical we can just write py8. Now whenever I am writing these values, you should just if you want to visualize it, just multiply it by 4. If I have written 6, it means 24 pixel. If I have written 8, it means 32 pixels. Okay, then the next step is to map over the properties array. So I'm just going to reference this properties, which contains multiple objects with these properties. Then we are mapping over it. Map is just a JavaScript function, so we are going to utilize it to iterate over each property and render a card. Now let's now talk about the card. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, will render div. Okay, this div is going to first of all contain the key property. Okay, this is the first thing I do whenever I am rendering a list in React. Okay, because it's very important for the performance. Then we also have this image source property, name property, pricing, and rating. Okay. Now after destructuring all these properties, we are going to now render the card. Okay. So first of all, let me start by writing the class name. Also, let me provide the key over here. I'm going to format the document. Let's close the file explorer. Let me see. So there is a comment. Someone is saying, I joined the live stream now. I am a MERN developer. Okay, so this project is about, Airbnb clone. We are not actually cloning it. I'm going to explain, some of the features are going to be different, but in general, it's going to be a hotel booking website. We are going to have the admin panel where you can manage all the listings, all the guests that are going to book the properties. Okay, you will also have the option to, manage the reviews that you're going to get on the properties, and there will be a user panel from which you can manage your bookings, leave reviews to the properties, and you'll also get notifications. Okay, so this is all that is going to happen inside the application. And for the general public, we'll have this search page where you can browse all the properties. We'll also create a filter section where you'll have access to all the kinds of filter, like based on number of bedrooms, location, okay, check in, check out date, number of guests, you will be able to filter the properties. So that's the general idea about this particular project. And about the feature, we are also going to include responsiveness and dark mode. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. Let's now continue with the development process. Here now I'm going to add some class names. Okay, so let me just start by creating a flex. Again, I'm using flexbox. That means I have set a display flex. Let me explain the reasoning behind that, because you can see inside card we have many things like image. Then this is a row, okay, with name and rating on the right side. Then we have the pricing per night. Everything is in the vertical direction. That is why I'm creating a column. So this is our flex. Now we can just set the direction to column like this. Okay, then in order to put some space between all the children's, that means the image, the row which contains the name and rating, and the pricing per night, I'm using this property space by 2. Just multiply 2 by 4, it will give you 8 pixels. So 8 pixel is going to be the space between all these things. Okay, then let's also give some border to the card. And after creating a border of 1 pixel, when I just write border, it means border width is 1 pixel. Okay, then we can give the border color, or actually in Tailwind CSS we write color like this, just the property name dash and then the color name. So we have a color called stroke inside our theme. Let me tell you, let me actually show you over here. If you open up this Tailwind config.js, you will find this key stroke. This is the stroke dark color. Similarly, we have a stroke color. Yeah, this one. So when I write border dash stroke, the border color will be this color. Okay, this is how it's done. Let's now move on. And since I want to provide some border radius, so I'm going to use this rounded property. Now when you write rounded, there are many options, like you can see small, medium, large, extra large. There are lots of options. And let's say you want to give a border radius to any particular side, then you can also use this rounded t. T means top. Similarly, we have right, left. Okay, everything is like there are many options, you understand. Then if you want to, let's say, give some custom border radius, then you can just write inside a square bracket something like 20 pixel. It will give 20 pixel border radius. So this is the general idea about Tailwind CSS, how to give custom values. But right now I want to use this predefined one, rounded LG. I want to hide the overflow so that there is no vertical or horizontal scroll. I want to also give a shadow effect to the card. So let me write shadow MD. Okay, this means shadow of medium size. Then when we hover over the card, I want the cursor to change into pointer. So I'm going to give this class name on hover. I want cursor pointer. Okay. Then inside this card, we want to render many things, but you can already see if you just visit this live preview here, actually nothing is visible right now because we haven't rendered either image, text, or anything. Okay, So let's start by rendering the image first. So for that we are going to make use of this image tag, and in place of source we can just make use of this image source variable. So I'm going to write image source. Okay, then for the alt attribute I can just use the property name. So this property name is going to be used for the alt attribute. Let's also style the image. So for the image I want a fixed height of 48. You can again multiply 48 by 4, which will give you 192. So 192 pixels. Okay, then I'm going to allow the image to take the full width of the card. Let me tell you how the width is going to be derived. Since we are currently viewing our application on an extra large screen size, then you can see this parent, which is grid. Here we have defined that it's going to divide the total space into four columns. Now that four column space, that one column space, that is going to be the width of this card. Okay, so we are actually using the relative values, but it's all because of inheritance, how the properties get decided, which child is going to get what width, height, and everything. If you just keep understanding the basics, you will be good at it. Now let's now continue with the styling the image. Next thing I want to do for this image is set its object fit property. Now what does this mean? Object fit means the space that this image is going to take, it should cover every part of it, nothing should be left. Okay, that is what it means. And there are many other possible values for the object fit, like it can be fill, stretch. Okay, there are many things. So we are going to actually make use of this cover property. Okay, object fit cover. Next thing is I want to transition the image. Okay, when we hover over it I want to actually scale it. So I'm going to set transition all so that it can have a smooth animation effect. Let me now write, when we hover over this image, I want to scale it. So scale 105. This 105 means originally it's 100% size, but when we hover over it, it's going to get to 105%. Okay. So you can now see that in your preview. Actually, still it's not visible, and the reason is we have created the listings component, but still we are not using it inside app.jsx. So let me just write it over here. Listings. You can see it's going to come from sections slash search slash listings. Now we can just go back again and see all the images are now visible. Okay, actually it is taking uh, three columns space. Let me just check what is the reason behind that. If I go to the listings component, here we have defined grid extra large. Okay, so there is a mistake actually. It should be calls and not call. I missed this S. That's why we were seeing this uh, rule. It was like Tailwind was not able to understand what I mean over here because I made a mistake. So that is why it was using this three columns. Now we'll have four columns. I have fixed that error. Then the next step is to render this name. Now before rendering this name, you can understand that here we have some padding, and this name along with this rating, these are in a row. So we are also going to create a row for that. Then this star is going to come as an icon is we are using this react icons library for icons. So let me just show you. If I search for a star, then you'll see lots of icons over here, but we are going to use this one. So let me show you by using it inside our application. I'm just going back to creating this card. Right now we have just rendered the image. Let's now create a div and give it some padding like we discussed just now. So this is the div, and it's going to be flex call, because we want to present things in vertical manner. Let me give padding of 4 in all the four directions, which means from top, bottom, left, right. Then I want to customize the space between the children's. That means the row which contains the name and rating and the pricing. They are going to have a space of 12 pixel between them. You can see over here it's 12 pixel. Okay. Then let's now focus on creating the row which contains the name and rating. So this is the div for that row. I'm going to make use of this flex row. Let's also set the items property to center, so that along the vertical line, the items are centered. Then, since you can see that the name and the rating are going to be present at the extreme ends, so that is why I'm going to write justify between. You can also confirm that from here, that the name and this rating, they are on the extreme ends. That is why we have used this property justify between. Now, what's left to do over here is render the name and the rating. So for the name, I'm just going to use span, and inside this we can just render the name variable. So let me write it over here, name. Let's also style it. So for that, again, we'll be using class name. First of all, I want the font weight to be semi bold. Then I also want the text size to be small. Okay. Then after this, again, we are going to create another row. Why another row? Because we want to again put these two things in the horizontal direction, okay, side by side, the star icon and the rating. So again, there will be a row. So on this div, I'm going to add class name flex dash row, okay, item center. Then after this, let's also put some I'll actually explain this property to you later after rendering the icon and the rating. So the icon that we need over here is sl star. Okay, this is going to come from react icon slash sl. We have already installed this package, so I'm just going to use it directly here. Let me also style it. So I just need to give it a yellow color, so I'm going to write text yellow, and then you can see this is the inbuilt yellow color palette from Tailwind. Okay, so the shade that I would like to use over here is this text yellow 500. Okay, and let's also change its size. So I'm going to set this size prop to 16. Then after that, let me render the text, that means the rating, inside a span tag. So here I'm just going to write rating. Let's also style this. For styling, we are going to again make use of utility classes from Tailwind. So I just want to set the text size to small, so I'm using text sm. Here the font size is 14 pixel and line height is 20 pixel. You can see that. If we go back, then inside this development preview, you can see this is how it's looking right now. Like the problem is there is no spacing between this star and the rating. So how we can fix that? This is the parent, which contains these two children, the star and the rating. So here on this parent, I'm going to add this property space x. That means we are putting some space between children in x direction. And let's try spacing of 1. That means 4 pixel. Okay, you can see this is 4 pixel. And if I go back, then you can see now there is some spacing and it's looking better. Then the next thing which is left is to render the pricing per night. Okay, so for that, after this div, I'm going to first of all, let's just collapse the div. And this is the div which contains the name and the rating. So after collapsing it, I'm still inside this flex column. I'm going to now make use of div, and inside this div, I'm going to render the pricing per night. So I'll just write price. Okay, price is this variable, and since this is a number, so I'm just going to convert it to local string. I'm going to convert it to a string, and then I'm going to write it like this, per night. This means it this much dollars per night. Okay, let's now change the color, because you can see uh, it is supposed to be in this primary color, but in the development preview you can see it's not looking good. Its font weight needs to be changed. Also, we need to change the color of the text, so we can do that using class name. Here I'm going to first of all change the font weight to medium. Then let's set the text color to primary. Okay, and also text size to small. So if I go back and check it out, so right now it's looking much better. Okay, so we have completed our application till this point, and the next step is to start building the authentication pages. What I mean is, when I click on this avatar, I want to see a drop down where we have the option to log in or sign up, and we'll create this kind of modal window where we can render our form. Then inside the form elements as well, you can see it is beautifully styled, and we have customization all over the place. So let's say at any given point you want to change your primary color, then this primary color will be this change will take effect everywhere. Even inside this login form, you can see these inputs are also displaying the same color, this button, everything. Let me again check if there are any more discussions. Okay. Hi everyone. I think some people joined a little bit later, but don't worry. Everything is recorded. You can just play it again. And let me know if you have any doubts. You can always join the Discord server. The link is given in the description, in the channel page. Make sure to join our Discord server if you want to ask anything. And the source code will be given in the description box. So now I'm just going to end this stream, and in the next one, we are going to start building our login and sign up page. Thank you everyone for joining. Let's meet in the next one.